What's up, Guardians? Glad to have you with Drew. And in today's video, we'll be diving into another dynamic prismatic hunter build that will have you fully equipped to dominate that challenging in-game content and feeling like a tethered king in Grandmaster Nightfalls, getting you that top tier loot and seeing those words mission complete constantly. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into the build. This build does not require an exotic class item and will be built around an armor piece that is one of my favorites and has been dominating Destiny 2 for a long time, Orpheus Rig. When using our Shadow Shot super, any enemy tethered will return us energy for all of our abilities, and when used right, we will receive a maximum of 50% of our super back. This is amazing because not only does Shadow Shot cause good damage, it also weakens and suppresses enemies for you and your allies, along with being incredible for crowd control in rooms full of tough adds. Starting off with the basics, for our class ability, we're going to be selecting Gambler's Dodge. Anytime we dodge within 15 meters of an enemy, we'll immediately get our melee back. For our jump, that's completely preference. I like triple jump for my PvE content, but go ahead and select whichever jump you like. For our melee, we'll be choosing Withering Blade. This is an excellent choice as we get 2 of them, and when paired correctly with Gambler's Dodge, we get another blade back immediately, essentially allowing us to have 3 melee charges. Threaded Spike is a great secondary option, however through all my testing for this build, which was only done in harder content, Withering Blade was the top pick. With its multiple charges, ability to slow and freeze enemies, and stun Overlord champions, this is definitely the best choice for this build. Onto our grenade selection. My personal favorite for fun and movement is the grapple grenade, but this build is designed to thrive in Grandmasters and control adds, so the grenade of choice here is the Dustfield grenade. It shatters on impact, slows and freezes enemies to control a large portion of the battlefield. It even stuns Overlord champions. It also leaves us with lots of targets available to kill to grant us invisibility, so this is the top tier pick for this build. For our first aspect, we'll be selecting Stylus Executioner. Now this works differently than in the Void subclass. Defeating a target affected by any elemental debuff grants invisibility and true sight. Going invisible will play a great part in survivability in the tougher content. Also, while invisible, our next melee weakens targets. Now that last part, I see a lot of players that don't take advantage of this. Not only does this help us destroy tougher enemies faster, but our teammates oftentimes have parts of their build that are based on damaging weakened enemies, so be sure to use this whenever possible. Our final aspect grants us a second grenade type and makes everything go boom. Gunpowder Gamble, when defeating targets with abilities, elemental debuff damage, solar weapons, or even shooting or throwing a tangle, can help build this meter. When full, it grants us a solar explosion that can be shot mid-air to cause an ignition and produce massive damage. With our abilities and aspects selected, this now leaves us with 5 slots to select our fragments, where the core of this build gets taken to the next level. Our first fragment pairs extremely well with 3 of our core abilities. Facet of Ruin. This fragment increases the size and damage of the burst when we shatter stasis crystals or frozen targets. With Withering Blade and Dustfield, we will be doing this all of the time. Facet of Ruin also increases the area of solar ignitions, making Gunpowder Gamble even stronger. All adds will hail to the Tethered King. Next is Facet of Courage. Your Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets inflicted with darkness debuffs, and we will be causing a lot of that with this build. So this will allow Gunpowder Gamble and our Tether to deal even more damage. And like Facet of Ruin, which gives us plus 10 mobility, Facet of Courage gives us plus 10 discipline. Free stats are always welcome. Our next selection is a fragment that in easier content is kind of pointless. However, in tough in-game content like Grandmaster Nightfalls, Facet of Solitude is a must-have in my opinion. Landing rapid precision hits emits a severing blast from target, and while Transcendence, this blast is even bigger. This causes enemies to do less damage. This will take a hit that could one-shot us to keeping us alive. It can also cause a darkness debuff to pair well with Facet of Courage and Stylus Executioner, turning us invisible just by shooting our gun, something we are already doing anyways. This is an S tier fragment in my opinion. Then we'll be selecting Facet of Protection. When surrounded by enemies, we are more resistant to incoming damage. While Transcendence, the effect is increased. In-game content is all about staying alive, and this will help us do that. It also gives us plus 10 strength, which is a nice stat boost. On to our final fragment selection. Now, if you've noticed in the gameplay, there are different abilities selected at times, and that is because I've done hours and hours of testing on this build in Master Lost Sectors, Grandmaster Nightfalls, and Expert Activities from the new season to find out which last fragment is the best. I went from using arc bolt grenades with Facet of Dominance alongside with arc weapons to get amplified. I tested Facet of Dawn to get radiant after powered melee hits. I also tested out Facet of Bravery to buff our Void and Strand weapons, and all those are great choices. However, after testing and rewatching gameplay from the Arc Bolt Grenade is just too inconsistent in my opinion. Facet of Dawn only lasts for 5 seconds and it does not re-trigger the time if we're already radiant from radiant orbs. So for our final fragment, Facet of Balance is the best option. When rapidly defeating targets with light damage, this grants melee energy. When rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage, this grants grenade energy. This fragment doesn't force us to use a certain type of weapon. It gives us an option to balance light and dark, which is what Prismatic is all about. We have an excellent balance of this, which creates great synergy and rewards us with that by refunds for our abilities. Now on to the fun part, the weapons. I have tested numbers of combinations from using Outbreak with Indebted Kindness, Sunshot with various weapon combos, Outbreak with the new Solar Sidearm, even Blast Furnace with the new Solar Sidearm, and Dragon's Breath. That, by the way, is my second favorite option. But the winner combo here, for me, is Red Death Reformed paired with the Call and Edge Transit. This choice completes our checklist of stunning champions. Our abilities take care of Overload, the Call takes care of Unstoppable, and Red Death is a great pick for barrier champions. It also keeps us alive in tough fights. One kill heals us. It has amazing reload speed after a final blow, and with the catalyst complete, it gives us restoration times 2. This gun is way too good right now and has saved me and my fire team to victory time and time again. Now to complete this build, the final ingredients come from our mod and journal artifact selection. Now keep in mind, these mods are based off of the weapons that I recommended, so if you chose different weapons, make sure you choose your mods accordingly. For the helmet, we'll be selecting a Solar Siphon, a Strand Siphon, and Heavy Ammo Finder. For the arms, we'll be selecting Grenade Kickstart. This will give us great grenade energy when we have armor charges. And then we'll be selecting Focusing Strike and Bolstering Detonation, so when we cause damage with our melee or grenade ability, we're getting our class ability back a lot faster. For the chest piece, this is as usual, just select the damage resistance types to the activity that you're doing. Look out for surges and make sure that you have ones on that are helping you from that defense from those 25% damage incoming boosts. For the legs, we're going with 1 copy of Recuperation. That way when we pick up an Orb of Power, it's going to replenish our health. And then selecting 2 Solar Weapon Surges. This is going to give us great damage increase when we have our armor charges to our Red Death Reform. This is going to allow this gun to be even stronger and just dominate the battlefield. For our cloak, we'll be selecting Powerful Attraction, so when we use our class ability, it'll pick up any nearby orbs. We'll also be selecting Reaper, so after we use our class ability, our next weapon final blow will generate an orb. And then Time Dilation, this is going to extend our armor charge, so that way we have that weapon damage boost a lot longer. The artifacts go as followed, pretty basic. For the weapons, select the ones that you are using. I like Overcharged Armory, so when the Surge for a Nightfall doesn't match my power weapon, I can bring in the new Strand LMG and get the 25% damage bonus. Winning Hand allows the Call to create solar damage. Press the Advantage is fantastic when breaking a combatant's shield. This increases our weapon stability, handling, and reload speed. Threaded Blast, whenever a Tangle is shot with the Call, this is going to cause a larger and more damaging explosion. Counter Energy is fantastic for activities with champions. When you or a fire team member stun a champion, you get a whopping 30% back to your least charged ability. Radiant Orbs is a must, and we're generating a ton of orbs, so we'll be radiant all of the time. Solar Fulmination is going to make Gunpowder Gamble even stronger. Shield Crush, so while radiant, our grenade does more damage and recharges faster. And if you are selecting a Void power weapon, Expanding Abyss is incredible. Hitting a tether on an enemy, switching to Edge Transit, and then just watch them melt. For stats, I recommend Tier 10 in Resilience and Discipline. For mobility, I went with tier 8. This allowed me to put more in intellect. Also, the difference between 8 and 10 in mobility is only 3 seconds, and with the mods that we were using, we get our class ability back very quickly. For intellect, I stopped at tier 7. I did test tier 4 and tier 5, and I was getting my super very frequently. At tier 7, there was times I was using it within 90 seconds, mostly using a tether within 2 minutes. This is absolutely incredible. For strength, I just recommend you have it at the base cooldown of tier 3. Our class ability is Gambler's Dodge, so we can get one of these back whenever we need. Your gameplay loop should look something like this. Start by throwing out a Withering Blade. This will spread darkness damage and get kills with this, and Red Death will build up our Gunpowder Gamble meter pretty quickly. Dust-filled grenades are used to spread more darkness damage and control the battlefield. They can also stun Overlord champions. Throw Gunpowder Gamble into large groups of enemies or at tougher enemies whenever you have this. Use our class ability to collect orbs, get out of harm's way, and get power melee back whenever we need. We have a great balance of light and dark damage, so we should be getting Transcendence pretty frequently, and use our super on large groups of enemies to ensure we get the maximum amount of super energy back. This build has great regeneration, so don't be afraid to use your abilities. We get them back very frequently. Also, our guns can take care of barrier and unstoppable champions, so our Withering Blade and Dustfield Grenade are excellent for taking advantage and stunning Overlord champions with ease. For bosses, an amazing combo is to hit them with our Grenade or Withering Blade to get Darkness debuff. This activates Facet of Courage. Hit them with the Tether for even more damage. Switch to our Void Power weapon with Expanded Abyss now active, and you will see crazy damage numbers and their health bars deplete. Titans using Twilight Arsenal and Warlocks with Nova Bombs can pair this with us extremely well. Thanks to everyone for stopping by the channel and watching today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. For everyone who has subscribed, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. And as always, happy hunting and have a great day. Take care, Guardians.